Hi everyone. Okay, I have finally finished all 3 signatures. They are full of their, it's a huge book. They're full of their ephemera, and that's what it's going to look like. So I promised you I would show you how I, typically do my covers and how I figure out what size to make. So the first thing I do, I think I've said this before, is several times probably, make sure that everything is in the book that's going to be in the book. Because I want to know, when you're looking at it this way, I mean, come on now, that's huge, right? It's going to be a really big book, you guys. And I don't want my cover to do this. Like, I don't want my book, because it can't close, because you've made your spine too small. Hopefully I don't sound too loud. I'm standing up, so I'm closer to the microphone. So what you have to do is have everything in there, put it together, and I do squeeze it closed a little, because I always do add a closure. So then I take my ruler and kind of figure out, okay, if I make this, see, if I made this a 2-inch spine, there's no way. I mean, these would fit in super tight, yeah, but then the front would just completely pop open. It would look terrible. I was thinking 2.5. That goes from spine to spine, but doesn't allow for fullness. So I'm actually going to go probably 2 3/4. I'm not going to go quite the 3. I think it'd be a little bit loose. So you kind of have to determine that. Then you have to decide whether you're going to build your book completely from scratch. I don't. I like using my craft text. Sorry, mental pause there. So let me grab it. I do want this book to be chocolate brown. So this is how I get mine. It's called, let me switch that out. I can't even get that in the camera. Does it show? Hang on. There it is. Craft text. That's how you spell it. And I get mine from Amazon. I can't find it here in BC. So this is how I figure it out. Because I'm going to do 2 3/4, but I like my fronts to be 6, because then that allows me that extra space. So if, say, you've got your signature, like mine, where I've got things kind of sticking out the side here. Well, if I did exactly, whatever this measures, 5 3/4, if I did that, that would stick out the edge. So I like to have a little bit of leeway here to protect the edge. I don't go too much higher than the actual length. I need my bigger ruler, hang on. Okay, so I'm going to give it both in centimeters and inches, you guys. So this measures, we're going to say 21 centimeters. It's slightly less, but 21 centimeters. Oh, sorry. Flip it around. So it's about 8 1/4. Okay, so 21 centimeters. And my widest page is about 14 3/4. It's approximately 14 3/4. Yeah. Or 5 3/4. Okay. Because as I go, they grow. I don't trim my pages. I don't like them that way. I like them like this, sort of stacked. But if you were just to measure the one page, it's usually about 5 1/4 is about what I trim my pages at. But like I said, because I stack them, they grow and become wider. So you need a little math going on here. Mine's simple. I go 6 for the front, 6 for the back, and add the whatever width of your spine you're going to do. So pretty simple. And I will do that. Now, this is a little bit rough, but that's okay. Usually what I'll do is I'll measure it out and add a little bit just for straightening purposes and that kind of deal. I need to get these signatures out of the corner here though, because it's interfering with everything else. So, obviously, it's going to be way too deep for me, but I like to cut it right off to start with. And we're just going to measure. So we need 12 inches plus the 2 3/4 that I want to add. Now this is, on my pad here, is inches and centimeters. I hate the way this is set up though for me. I find it confusing to have the 0. I know he does it for a reason, but I just would like a regular ruler. You know what I mean? But I know that this is 15 inches because he's added the 7. Or it's 14 inches. No, it's 15 inches. I'm sure it's 15 inches. Isn't it? Isn't it? Let's measure. There's your 12. Yeah. No, it's 14 inches. Okay. 14 inches. So I needed 12 plus 2 3/4. So that's my 14. I just need 3/4 of an inch more. So I need to, you can pencil it. That's corner to corner. Let's make it straight. So that's my 14 inches. And then I just need 3/4 of an inch more. So I'm going to add the extra inch, just like I said, for trimming purposes, in case it's crooked or whatever. Okay, so I'm just going to mark it there pretty heavily. And now to get rid of the bulk, I'm just going to cut it right now. And then I'll turn it around and do the other side. So this is where this handy dandy little tool comes in. And I just make sure that my craft text is flat against the edge here to get it as straight as I possibly can. And then push that ruler up to where I want it. And I'm holding it really, really firmly because I don't want it to budge at all. And then I'm just going to get my craft knife and hold it flat against my edge. And oops, I just went over my edge and cut into it. So that was crappy. Oh man, come on. Did it twice. Why is it doing that? I really can't see very well. This, you know what? I have to turn this light on. I know it's probably not great for you guys, but I actually can't see. Oh, I know why. Because I'm going along. There's a little tiny edge there, and it keeps picking it up. My knife. And so try and hold it straight up and down. I probably had it tipped a little bit. Okay, now, let's see, I don't think it went through. No, it didn't. This is why I give myself extra space. So, okay, and then the rest I just cut. It's not a huge deal. Didn't line up very well. That's where I slipped. Okay, get rid of this big bulk. Now, I have to remember this is my width. So I'm going to swing it around and I'm going to mark with the pencil where I want to trim the bottom part off. So I always do 8.5 because I cut it and it's 8 1/4 my pages high. I can't do it with this ruler. I find it confusing. Why is that? So that's 7 inches. So 8. And what did I say? 8.5? Yeah. So 8.5. We're going to go here. And again, this is a little, I think I'm going to turn it this way, you guys, because it's rolling down. And it's a little hard to see. So I'm going to make sure that my top, this part on this side, is actually even, because that's a flat, straight edge, that one. But the one I cut isn't so much. Because who knew? I'm not perfect. Okay. Turn that there. And so we're going to go, that's 8.5. So let's mark that there. And I'm going to keep this held down real tight. Maybe not. I moved it anyway. So we'll get it back straight again. Give me a second. I want it straight on my left, on your right, on my, no, I guess it'd be, once I flip this video around, it'll be on the left. Okay. And then I want to hook that guy up there. Now I'm going to go past that line again, because if I screw up, then I've got wiggle room. Okay. Oh, for heaven's sakes. This is really the first time I've used this this thing here, whatever it is called. And I didn't realize it actually has a little ridge somehow. Maybe you need to work that off. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to move this up now. I have to curl it up because it's sticking out. Oh, let's just turn it around. Let's make life a little easier. So this side I want even on my right now. Oh, this is going to be in the way of my camera. I'm going to move you back. Sorry, you guys. That's in the way. And I'll bring you forward in a second. There we go. Okay. Now, there you are. So it's, you know, obviously it's too big, but now I can get my cutter. And this is where I clean things up. So first, before I do that, now let's move that out of the way. Before I do that, I need my scoreboard. Okay. Now, this is my straight edge. I'm going to work off my straight edge. This is crooked. I want to cut that edge because that bugs me. Let me sit down now so I can see everything properly. Now, I want to cut, I want to work always with my really straight edge, and then I'm just going to trim off the end a little bit just to straighten it up. Make sure that that edge is pretty straight. I love this cutter for that because it's a bit longer. Okay. Alright, so that edge is now nice and straight. I'll bring that back in a second because I will need it. But now I can work with this. So this is the part I cut. Is that my straight edge? Nope, this is my straight edge. That's the side I cut. Now, the easiest way to do this is just find your 6. And then you want to find your, sorry, I should have just left that there. Then you want two, what are we doing? 2 3/4? Yeah. Sorry, move this down so I can see you. I can turn this off now. There. I think that might be a little better. Okay, so there's my 6. And then I want 1, 2 3/4. Gee, I hope I did this right. Oh man, this is gonna be a big book. Holy Toledo. Okay. And then I move that line to my 6, and then I score at 12 so I know where to cut it. And you don't have to go very hard, just give yourself a little bit of room there. Okay, don't need that anymore. Where am I putting it? Under here. Oh man, I'm gonna drop this whole book on the floor. I know it. It's just so big. It's moving everywhere. Okay, bring this back now. And then I want to go ahead and cut this off. Now, if you guys find easier ways of doing this, you know, go for it. I just do what works for me, but you do you, right? Okay. That's there. That's there. Okay. Then, because this won't fit in here, I fold over one of the covers. Fold it like that. And then I'm going to cut off the side that hasn't been cut, so I've got my good side on my left. So I'm just going to flip it over, push it really firmly up there. I need to put this more on my cutting board. There we go. And I need it to be 8.5. And I'm going to go just one past the 8.5, just because. Hold it really firmly when you cut it. Okay. And then you're gonna, you know, check. And this has like, it's smooth on one side and textured on the other. It doesn't really matter which side you want to use. You know, generally I put paper over it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But when you are scoring, you should bend it towards the mountain. See, this has a valley, and this has a mountain. I don't know if that's showing. There it is. If you bend it towards the mountain, you have a little bit, how can I say it? It's stronger. That's the word. If you do it that way. And sometimes you don't have a choice, you know, but in this case, I do. So give it a good burnish. This will curl out eventually. You can wet this, you know, with water and let it dry. You can do all kinds of stuff to this, which is one of the reasons I love it so much. But some people think that it makes it accept the glue a little better. I've done it both ways. I don't know if I feel it does, but it doesn't hurt either. So it's up to you whether you want to do that or not. So then I just double check to make sure that it's going to be good, or it might be too big. I don't know. No, it's absolutely perfect. So you can see when you look at it this way, that is going to fit your signatures perfectly. You're going to have a nice closure. Everything's in this book, right? And, you know, if I let go, yeah, it'll pop open. But this tells me that I will be able to actually journal in this book. If I had done this, I mean, look at that, right? That wouldn't work. And when you're trying to actually write in the book, it's going to fight you. It's going to want to stay open. Like, you know, you're not going to be able to turn the pages very easily and take stuff out and that kind of deal. So it's a biggie. And I love the amount of space I've got at the top. Let's see if you can see that. Here is the same as here. So it gives you a little bit of space, but not like a huge amount. You don't need a huge amount. So that's going to be my front cover. So let's move these little guys out of here so I don't get glue or anything else on them. sometimes if you just roll it with your bone folder, it's because it's been on the bolt for so long, it, you know, wants to crease, but it will work itself out eventually. And, you know, you can keep rolling it and working with it to get it nice and flat. So I have the cover done. Well, not done, but, you know, it's cut out. I haven't inked it yet, but I've done some stitching around it. This is what I want to do. I haven't at this point figured out what kind of papers I want to put down. Whether I want to print, you know, I'm thinking this page here, it's got the roses on it. I think I will print this out on cardstock and use it on the inside of the book as my cover pages. And then the back, I'm probably going to do the one that doesn't have any roses. It's just the, it would look more like this, and use that as my spine and my back. But I have to print them out first. So I'm going to pause the video here, and when I come back, it'll all be cut. And I haven't decided whether I want to put something underneath this one or if I want to just do it like that and then have room to play with paint or glitter or whatever. So, you know, give me a second and I'll figure it out. Okay. Okay, I'm back, guys, and I'm set up. I have all the papers cut, inked, have my paper towel ready at hand and my bone folder, and I've had this brush in this bag for quite a while, so we're going to check to see if it's okay. It will last quite a while, but sometimes if you don't put it in right, see, this has now got sort of a chiseled edge on it because of the way I pushed it into the bag. I don't know if you can tell that, but that's okay. I just want to make sure that it's not hard at all, because if it is, it'll make it, yeah, it's pretty soft still. It does have a little bit of dried glue. It's still tacky, so it'll probably work just fine. I'm going to use it again. I've used this several times now. So, you know, you want to get your money's worth, right? We're going to start on the inside. I'm just going to do one to show you how I do it, and then I'll pause it and finish it, let it dry, and then I can come back and show you the next step of what I would do. So I have this honkin' big container. It's big. Of Mod Podge. It's a mat that I use. It's just much cheaper here in Canada to buy the great big one with your coupon at Michael's. I'm pretty generous with the amount that I use, but you need to be careful what you're adhering. If it's super thin paper, then yeah, you don't want to go too thick. You want to make sure your edges are covered really well. This is almost going to go corner to corner. I've cut it so that it would fit almost the exact size as my cover. But I find with the craft text, you do need to use a good amount of glue. Now, I know I'm not totally centered here, but I don't really want to get a whole bunch on my washi tape there. So you don't want so much that you're going to be squeezing out like loads and loads and loads of glue, because you will get bubbling if you do that. So you want it slightly translucent, but make sure you just hit all the spots. And if you think you've got too much, just scrape it off your brush. So I've got that pretty well covered, I think. Okay, so I'm going to start with the outer edge, and I'm going to bump it up to almost the top. There's barely any space left. And I want to make sure this, my outside edge, is pretty straight. That's where you're going to notice, not so much towards your spine, because you're going to have your signatures in there. Now, I know a lot of people use a brayer, And I'm not saying anything negative about the brayer. They work, but for myself, I much prefer the bone folder because, especially with this craft text, you really have to work it to get it to stick. So really, I'm pushing like really hard, and you can see it's curling, so it will curl. If you're not firm, you have to be firm. Now, this is why I don't suggest printing your, if you're going to print, that is, don't do it on paper, because the more you do this, you're going to end up ripping your paper. It will not stick before it rips. I can say that with confidence because I've done it. I almost want to say I should have added a wee bit more glue. So give it a really good push. Usually I have glue kind of seeping out, so, but this paper is a photo paper, so it will absorb the glue quicker than, say, just cardstock from a paper pad, which is what I typically use, but, you know, because I'm trying to use up all my stuff. But this time, I don't know, I just really wanted to keep in theme. Okay, so you can see how much work I had to put into that. A brayer won't do that for you. You can start off with a brayer, but I would definitely switch to a bone folder after that, and you just get a much better adhesion to it. And you can be really firm with a brayer. The harder you push down, I'll show you if you don't know what a brayer is. So I'll show you my crappy one. It's really, really well worn. When you're pushing like this, some of the brayers that you buy, this is a pretty good one because it's all metal, but some of them are plastic and they just pop out. So you end up with a mess. I have a newer brayer, but it's the same make. So when I'm pushing though, because it will still pop out, when I'm pushing, I squeeze the handle together as I push. You still can't get a really good, well, at least I can't get a really good adhesion with just a brayer. So I much prefer the bone folder. And then I go over it with my hand to make sure I don't feel any obvious bubbles. If I do, you know, I'll go back again, but this is pretty good. Now I'm going to do the rest, and then I'll come back after it's all dried, because then we can work on the actual cover front and play and have some fun. Okay, see you soon. Okay guys, let's see what we've got here. I've got my really heavy duty cutting board that I use to flatten things out, because it's got a really good weight to it. And it should be pretty well dry. You can kind of tell if it's cool to the touch. It's usually not 100% dry. This is still a wee bit cool, although it's been there for over an hour. So it's definitely dry enough to work on the front cover. Now, I will be putting corners on this, metal corners. I will be doing my cross stitch, and because it's 3 signatures, it'll actually be a really pretty spine. But I'm not going to video that. I will link, I don't know if it's up there yet, but if I don't remember to put it actually in the video, it will be in the description box. I will link you to the tutorial I have on doing the cross stitch spine. Okay, so let's play. What should I do? I had pulled out a flower that I'm thinking I would like to add to the front. Something like that. I think that'll be really pretty. Adds a touch of color, which I think it needs. But before I do that, I think I'm going to do some paint and maybe some glitter. Let me grab some paint. I'm just going to pause you and come back with my supplies. Okay, so I've chosen this one by Prima, Art Alchemy Sparks Dragon Eye. So it has a real nice shimmer to it. Now, I love these Prima paints. However, I do find they kind of dry out a little bit. They get really, really thick and goopy. So I usually add a bit of water once I've used the paints for a while. This one's getting, it's probably about half empty now because I use it a lot. And I just added water off camera, and you just really, really give it a good shake. And then when you take the lid off, I take a spatula, and all of this was gooped, like all inside. It was kind of, not hard, but it was thick, really, really thick. So I just take a spatula, scrape it all off, put it back in, give it a swirl, put the lid back on, and then really give it another really good shake. And I rarely dip my brush in the actual pot because I usually have enough on the cap. So we'll work from the cap. I'm just going to sit down and keep you in frame. Turn that so I can see you guys. Okay, so I have a flat edged brush. You can use anything you like. This is playtime. Do what you want. This is just an old one stroke by Donna Dewberry I've had for mega years. Good brushes, and I'm going to start here because if I don't really like what's happening, I know I'm going to have a corner piece over here. So I just randomly kind of push my paint up, and it does, I don't want it perfect. I want it super goopy, grungy. I love the color of this dragon's eye. It's super nice. And I think I might even pull it in. I want to border the entire thing because, as you could tell, I didn't add another piece of paper to this. This is just what I wanted. This is, oh, I forgot to mention that when I printed these out, it is on a Canon photo paper. It's matte, and it's a 45-pound weight. I don't know what the GSM is because I've thrown the packaging out, so I can't help you out that way. Okay. The nice thing about the Prima, it dries nice and fast. There's almost no wait time. And because I am painting on photo paper, it is sucking that paint right in. Just want to do a little water to soak my brush in. I just kind of pounce it in there, swirl it around. Oh, yeah, you can see it. I'm kind of on camera. And then I just wipe the brush off, soak that up, and spray one more time. You could have a pot of water where you stick it in, but I've got so much stuff on my desk that I really don't do that anymore. Because I get lazy and I leave them in the pot, and then the water evaporates and I ruin my brushes. So I just do it kind of right away. Enough that it won't dry hard. Okay, then I am going to use my little spatula, and I have this other stuff called Cosmic Shimmer Sparkle Texture Paste. And this is warm gold, this one. I can't believe I paid $15 for this. I don't even know where I bought it. I've had it a long time, but it's really gooey because it has the gel medium in it. So at first it looks a little milky, but then when it dries, that texture medium dries clear. So you can have it dimensional if you wish, or you can flatten it out like I do. a little bit. I just love sparkle. And I like to be very fluid, you know. I don't want to worry too much about what I'm doing. It's just whatever. Just don't be afraid of it, right? But this will warm up that gold. It is a warm gold, but it's brighter. So if you want something that's, you know, a nice contrast, this has, I want to say, I know it says it's a warm gold, but to me it's more of a light copper. Is like a penny. That's kind of what I think of. Just in case that doesn't show. And I don't always do the whole thing, and in this case I'm not going to. I'm going to stop there. Stuff is really sticky, so I definitely want it off my spatula. Okay, so I'm going to telephoto in so you can see that a little bit better. I don't know if the shimmer, oh yeah, look at that shimmer. Isn't that pretty? Just simple, but once you add your flower on top of that, I'm not quite sure where. I love the stitching that's going on there. Maybe a little lace. Why don't we put some lace? Why don't we do that? Okay, I'm going to pause you again to find some lace. I'll be right back. Okay, I found this. I don't know. I lost the end. Oh, wait a minute. It's the same company. Sewing Notions. I think this was, yeah, Crafty Irina sent this to me a long time ago. And this I feel is too light. I'm not sure I'm using this, but what I wanted to do was take some of my watered down walnut ink and spray it and dab it off. I need, hang on a second, some paper towel. It isn't loaded with glue. Dab it off. So now it becomes, you can see the difference, the cream and the brown. That's pretty. Now let's see if I like it on this. I'll make sure that's dry before I stick that down. Okay. Oh, that is really pretty. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add some lace. I need to dry this a little bit and spray a little bit more because I don't think I have enough. I don't mind if it's, you know, slightly different variations there. I think that'll look nice. Now this stuff, I think I'll leave it on the roll while I dry it. I don't know how I managed to lose the bottom of it, but I did. Okay. Roll that up. I'm going to widen out again. And this is still wet. This stuff ravels once you cut it. So I always melt the end when I'm finished using it. So if you're drying, you need to be careful that you don't get it too hot or you're going to shrink it. You're going to melt it up. But I don't want it that wet when I glue it. Once I figure out where I want to put it and glue it down, I'm going to walk away, so I'll pause you again and let it dry thoroughly before I do whatever else I'm going to do to this thing. I just feel like, man, this is one of the biggest books I've done in a really long time. And I feel like it needs a lot on the cover. I don't know. Sometimes I get the feeling that, you know, less is more, and other times it's like, nope, it needs a lot more. Anyway, I feel like that's what this one is like. Let's see where I ended here. Right about here. And I don't have my other heat gun, actually, before I cut that. Oops, sorry, I'm moving my lighting is changing, hang on. There we go. And I light a candle when I don't want to burn my hands with a heat gun. Okay, I'm gonna sit down again. Now, then I just put it up close, get it melting, just so it doesn't unravel. That's all I want to do. So you see how it's all unraveling? Yeah. Putting it through the flame, yeah, you will get black. So, I usually don't use that part. Usually extend it off the work I'm doing and then trim that off. So I don't glue that part down. But the heat gun does work better because it'll melt it without changing the color of it. Okay, now let's figure out where I want this. Oops, I just stuck my thumb in it. Fortunately, it's pretty dry. I know I want a piece here. I think I'm just going to do oddball pieces, if that makes sense to you. Because that's kind of me anyway, right? Little oddball. Okay. I think I want a piece here. And I think I want a little piece here. Not too close because I'm going to be putting a metal piece there. And then maybe a piece right on the paper, or should I go above the paper? One there. Maybe one above the paper. So that it's off and on the brown, and this one will be, I think, in between, and this one maybe could be down there, just slightly off. And then we'll have the rose in here, and then I will have a hitch post here. I quite like the look of that. And I'm not going to melt the ends of this because I like that. And once it's glued, it won't unravel anymore. And I think for the rose, I need some scrap paper, and I'm going to use my gold pen. I was going to just grunge it up, but I think it's going to need some gold. So I just cover in the white and just along the edge. These pens are great. Sometimes though, on things that have a little bit of a slick background, you might have to do 2 coats to get it that lovely gold. That's gonna look pretty, I think. Yeah, I think that's gonna work. Okay, I'm gonna pause you here while I finish this, and when I come back I'll have glued on the lace, and then we'll go from there. I'll add the corners for you. Okay, see you soon. Okay, so I'm back. Oh, I gotta turn this light out, sorry. Whoop, there. I'm back with these two pieces glued. This third one isn't because I wanted to place my flower. Now I've gone ahead and edged it in the gold. So this is the Pen Touch Gold Quick Dry Permanent. I got these from, I believe, AliExpress. It's made by Sakura. I like the ink, I have to say, but the pen itself, they're not that great. You have to be really careful with the nibs that they don't fall out. So they're, you know, a love-hate relationship with those. I like the results, but I'm not super pleased with the fact that they fall apart like that. I want to add this rose here. I want it draping off the page, but I don't want to cover up all the stitching that I went to all the trouble of doing. And then this piece will go right here. So I wanted to just show you, I'll leave that in place. I just want to show you how I glue. I use the Aleene's tacky glue. You can use, what is that, fabric tack. I don't use it just because I find it doesn't tack up as quickly as Aleene's, and it's really expensive compared to the Aleene's. But if that's your go-to, then don't change on my account. It's all, you know, whatever works for you. I'm just saying for those budget-minded people like myself. Okay, so I'm just gonna stick that down here. Now I will take a piece of the parchment paper, place it over, and push. You want to penetrate the lace with the glue, so you want to make sure you put enough glue on there, and then you'll get the glue bubbles on that side. Okay, now as far as the rose goes, I'm thinking I'm going to use Mod Podge. And there's probably enough in this still that I don't need to dip into it. So I'll set that aside. You can already see, you see it wasn't 100% dry. It's starting to curl. But once I get everything glued down and the glue is dried, then I'll put it back under something heavy and it will flatten out. Okay. I think there's enough, and if there isn't, then I'll get some more. Usually, see if you squeeze your brush. I did take a lot of it out when I put it back in the jar, but there's still quite a bit. But you want to be quick because you don't want your glue to set up too fast. I'm not too worried about getting it on the other side because I will be sealing this, but I do want to move it so I don't get it on my work. That's where I want it. And where are we? Let's use this one. Only because I have glue on my finger, so I don't want to add more and more glue to this thing. And you can see the gold pen's not 100% dry either. Okay. So this has some glue on it, but like I say, it's going to be covered, so I'm not too worried about it. Something else I didn't tell you. When I did this, I also edged it with my Pitt pen. It's a Faber-Castell. It is a permanent, but it's a manipulative. You can manipulate it before it dries. You can smear it a little bit if you wish. Sometimes if you're putting something down on your book front, you can go around the edge of it and then, you know, take your finger and smear it to give it sort of a shadowed effect. It's great for, you know, when you're doing art pages. That's one of the reasons I bought it. But I like it for edging. I'll show you why. It has a nice long tip, so you can get into those little bitty places and, you know, use the side of the tip to edge your work. So it's worth the investment. I have two. I have a jumbo one too, but it's more of a chiseled edge, so I don't use that as much as I use this one. And I had an elastic band. There it is. Okay, so what happens next is this will dry. I will put my cutting board on there again. Once it's all dry, I will seal it. Once I've sealed it, then I'll add the corners. And I think I'm going to add the bigger corners to this. And then I will sew it, the signatures in, so the next time you see this, this book will be completed and in the store. So, like I said, look at the size of that spine. Holy Toledo. There's a big book for you. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting and helpful. If you have any questions about, you know, anything, really, just leave a comment. There'll be some links in the box again for different things, just in case, right? Okay, thanks for watching, you guys. Bye.